Hi, I'm Proton, I'm a Survivor player with 7,000 hours, and this is my take on the patch notes for 9.2.0. So, this is like, I'll just say up front, completely Survivor-sided perspective, so you know what you're getting into. Um, and yeah, just so you're not like, oh my god, you're not considering things from this side. I've played Killer, and I prefer Survivor. I've played Survivor like 70% of the time. So yeah, and I'll try to be as biased as I can be. So new killer, uh, the Krasu, cool, detaches from body. And I'll be talking about this like reaction as like from a survivor perspective of playing against, as well as like the changes being made in this update. So I've already played more than a few games against this killer on live, and I think the shifting is fine. If you're playing against her like for the first time, you're going to be thrown off, or like, you know, if you're not used to playing against her, you're going to be thrown off by the terror radius change. But the music is cool, so it's just this will throw you off the most, I think. Um, her whole power felt like a combination of unknown, uh, nemesis, in terms of like how you should interact with it. I don't know if that's the right comparison I want to make, but I mean it's what I settled on really. So in terms of playing against it, it felt relatively fine. Really, we'll have to see, you know, as people get more used to it, because there are always like different things that people figure out, but it felt fine going against. Um, the one thing I did have to say was, you know, it depends on how fast this goes, but I found like they've been trying to go into like headless flight or headlong flight, and also like speed up and cut you off at a pallet, and you can always like it's similar to Wraith. You just run like kind of against them to make sure that they can't get around, and occasionally you might be able to get through. It just depends on like how good you are, or like how fast you can switch to moving in that particular way. Uh, there are a good amount of these on the ground. And that speaking as a survivor player, honestly, they could reduce the number of these, but or like the maximum amount as well as the initial amount, if they want her power or the killer's power to feel like more present. But it's really, I didn't really notice it. New killer perks. Ravenous. Eh. I can see like some killers might get benefits out of it, but it's really killer dependent. And even then, the killers that could benefit from it would honestly not need the exposed status effect. Wandering Eye. I mean, there are certain things that you can do, and like pair this with other perks. So I mean, I'm certain people will try it, but they probably won't be happy with like their match speeds if they normally run like gen regression. So I doubt this will see a lot of use. They could change this to like 25, 30 meters. Hex perks. I always like hex perks as a survivor because it's like a different thing to work around. And this is like several perks that already exist, but I'm sure there are builds that could be made. But I mean, it suffers from the same weakness of hex perks, being that they're relatively easy to find. Oh. So now the meat of the update. I'm kidding. But the main thing I care about. New survivor. This would be good for like certain healing builds in terms of like repairing a gen and then healing yourself super fast, because it does say it doesn't have any restriction against self-healing, but this is still not as good as other perks that exist. This is like the Ace Tree perk, so I like it, but also I've noticed a difference in terms of like getting these, but I mean 20% isn't a lot, but it's whatever. I mean 90 seconds for both the duration and the cooldown means that you're not like waiting 90 seconds in order to do it, or like you're not waiting 90 seconds for the effect to end and then 90 seconds for that. It's your uptime on this perk is really high for it being 90 seconds. And then this one, you definitely pair it with lightweight. I mean, that was mentioned by other people, but lightweight sprint burst, and then, you know, you can kind of like be a little crazy with it, but it's not like super good. It does make your scratch marks disappear after like 2.5 seconds though. So, this change is cool. I mean, people who don't have as many hours will benefit, and that's the main thing. And it really doesn't make the matches worse for like experienced players. They probably won't even use it. Recovery, this is cool. I know this is from the anti-slug changes, but this is like very nice to have. And then I never really have had a need to use the abandon option, but I mean, if they feel that it's necessary, then it's neato, or good. Palette density. So as a survivor player, honestly, and I mean, you know, common discourse from these videos I watch are like Macmillan, Otto, Haven didn't need it, Crotus Pren didn't need it. You know, like 90% of the maps didn't need it, but I'm just saying, like, I played like 90% Survivor, or pretty much 100% Survivor. I don't find Killer challenging, really, and that's just my opinion. But there are a lot of safe loops on all of these maps, and I have played enough to where it has been like, you know, you have a safe loop on Macmillan, and then you don't have anything around it. And then like 90 miles away, there's another loop and another loop, you know. So in terms of reducing dead zones, that also means that they can make these palettes way weaker and like promote more of like, you know, relatively fluid gameplay. Because that was my biggest thing. It's like there are definitely dead zones on all of these maps, but they're balanced out by these super strong, you know, tiles. So spreading palettes out and like tile layouts out around allows them to make them weaker and then also promote more dynamic gameplay. So I like that they're doing that, but I did see what they did on Haddonfield before the update, and that's not, I'm not a fan, but there's not a lot you can do on that map because they don't add any other tiles, and it's just like the building tiles with some window leaps or vaults, and those are just boring to me because it's relatively guaranteed, and if you're not running into the house the right way, then it's, you know, you're screwed. So it's like, you know, there's no like, oh man, you know, can I run this creatively? No, you have to run it a certain way, otherwise you just get hit. And the killer also knows like, oh, you know, it's like they are just gonna have to run for this because there's nothing else on the map. The changes they made to Haddonfield though, multiple pallets in the street, you know, I just find the multiple pallets like just straight pallets that you have to run to like the next one and the next one super boring. Like there's no way, you know, no creative like, oh, break line of sight, double back, turn around, you know, like mess with the POV, do something crazy. It's just no, you run around a car, go to the next car, and there's not a lot they can do about that, which sucks. But these other maps, if they spread out those tiles, because I will say there are dead zones in all of these maps, but I know Red Forest, they Mother's Dwelling, they did remove the super strong main building window, which is fine, and they needed to do that. And it's like if they do that and like reduce the size of these like big rock loops with the trees that prevent the killer from like, you know, it's like pretty much you have to follow the survivor. You can't mess with POV. You can't, because it's the same thing for survivor. You know, you have to take this way, because if you go the other way, it's guaranteed to just suck. And there's no dynamicism, however you want to say it. But yeah. So that's just my take. I like that they're doing this. I hope that that allows them to make the tiles more engaging. Except for the cold wind tiles. I found those super boring. Menu updates, cool. They said that they were going to do this and they did. Content updates. Okay, playing against this, the most boring things about Myers were his scratch mirror. I found that insanely boring. I'm sorry. Like, I'm glad it's no longer going to be one of the things that you can do. I do think he needed a, you know, being able to switch and whatnot. That's cool. I think overall he just needed changes, and you know, it's something that people aren't used to, which is why there's a lot of criticism. But he did need to be swapped up, and I think they're on the right idea of making it more dynamic in terms of his stalking and whatnot, and being able to have different playstyles, because he's one of the oldest killers. Have to see, because I mean, I'm speaking as a survivor main. I'm really, you know, like you just have to see. You have to play it out, see what people do with it. Stalking, I mean the whole thing, you know, it's all different, and have to see. Yeah, this was a given. Add-on changes, I don't play killer, so playing against this, it felt weak, so good. Making the add-on basket that everyone has to run, or feels like they have to run. Increased vertical, cool. More skill shots is always fun to go against. Add-on changes, I'm sure they're good overall, I just don't play, so playing against this, the number of changes are too small to really be like, oh, all this really changed. Except for this, maybe. Yeah, no, this is the biggest thing from that. It felt like every 5 seconds, every like second, the wolf form was just annoying, but the biggest change is definitely this, which is more quality of life, which I mean, cool. As long as Medusa's hair is nerfed, I'm fine with that. Everything else is meh. Or at least I don't play the killer, so I'm not 100% familiar. Within 8 meters was 12 meters, cool. Issue is always the range, because that's, you know, it's a 16-meter diameter around the window. Before it was 24. Yeah, not like around the window, but like, you know, the total area that it covered. So I think that's fine if it's, you know, punishing for that like area. He could just do it so much, it was incredible. Cool. Made it just incredibly like simple, which is never fun to go against, or I guess play, depending on who you listen to. I find this fine. I also find the change back, or like the change to 1.6 fine. Good. I hate this killer. Like, I think this isn't enough. but you know, we have to wait and see. I'm still gonna be miserable, but it's whatever. You know, gotta live with it. You know, or a skill issue, I guess, if you want to be that. Cool. 2 seems a little too low. I don't know about 5, but I mean, perk updates, meat of the update that I care about. Clairvoyance, no real change, really. 12 seconds compared to 10. Literally a number change, and there's no point at all. If you're running Clairvoyance, you know what you're looking for, and 10 seconds was more than enough. This is probably only good for like people going for Adept who have no idea what they're doing. Cool. Actually, kind of good now. It always felt like it was super short. Because you finish a gen with someone else. You have to finish it with someone else, and then you get 75 seconds, but a good 10 to 15 seconds is running to another gen, or even then you go like for a heal, or go take a chase. It's basically useless. I found it fun. I found Hope fun, but I mean the changes to Made for this, and then now this, I haven't ran this in a couple months, so I mean it's whatever, really. You can still probably get like an equivalent effect out by running this and then doing Made for this and like maybe getting a Dead Hard, but it's really not gonna be ran that much. No Mither, cool. It's just a terrible perk, so I mean that's good for the people who are running Adept or trolling, I guess. Biggest nerf of the patch by far. Remove the endurance status effect. I don't even care that they removed the stipulation, because if you do a conspicuous action, that still disables it. So this is very useless, like incredibly useless. Guaranteed they're only doing this because the pick rate was so high. So that sucks. Like, maybe if they just shorten the timer but remove the conspicuous action, it would be good. But no, removing the endurance and then removing this is not enough to make up for having this. And I thought this was only because they were doing the anti-tunneling and slugging update, but it made it through. Leader, this stacks. So 30%, 30%, 30%, 30%. No, they're never going to be close enough though. Like, unless you're like hugging each other. So, or like, you know, 3 people alive at the end. So, I mean, it's the same thing with Vigil, but, you know, if people figure out a way to use this and enough people complain, they'll make it so it can't stack. 5-second change. Basically, I don't see anyone running this. It never made enough noises anyways to where this was really 16 meters was like, oh man. But plot twist, cool. Poised, 2 seconds, oh man. This is big though. Like, this is a good number change. Like, I'm sorry, 5 seconds just is quite literally useless compared to that. Quick Gambit, I never liked the idea of it, but I mean, 40 seconds is okay. I mean, it's 5%. So, this, cool. It's like a reverse, like it prevents old deer stalker. Meh. Vigil, it was crazy. I mean, I never really benefited from more than maybe one additional effect. So it's still strong though at 40%. Killer perks, cool. Seemed like it was cool. Too short. Cool. Both good changes. This is always funny to see. So I mean the negative downside to it being nerfed is fine. I didn't like when they made it 50 seconds and only one gen, but hopefully it gets people to like stop running the same drone build. I say drone, like it's just pain res, deadmans, like just stacking regression when they're not good at chase to try and make up for it. Deerstalker rework, reverse object of obsession, that's cool. Would have been nice for like Blood Amber before they nerfed or gutted that, but I don't see people running it unless they're like, oh, can do a crazy, funny little build. But as a Survivor player, I don't really care about 150. Like, I'll still go and find it because it is like, I know people are like, oh, Rune doesn't do anything. It does. It's like one of those like go-to like we need to get rid of it. This was super annoying, especially at 30 seconds. This is going to be even worse. So I mean, 30%. I don't know. Monitor buff for big tear radius. Oppression. I never liked the perk. Like I don't like it, but it's not in the same category as like Kaneki, who I dislike a lot. So it's like I don't like the idea, especially since you kick the gen and then get like the 3 now 4 kicks on like other gens that don't count towards the gen kick limit. But I mean also it's like just something that people don't like some stuff that they play against, and then like I'll live with it. I'll just expect 4 gens to be kicked instead. Septic. It always felt like it was too short when I played against it. And Ultimate Weapon, meh. Cool, I guess. I mean, I think that's fine, considering how meta it was when it wasn't tied to the opened locker. So that's cool. Maybe people will run other stuff, but changes from the PTB kind of meh. See if there are any known issues. That's pretty much it. So yeah, that was my opinion on this, just because I wanted to verbalize it. I think to rate the update on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it like a solid 7 to 8. Probably closer to 7, especially with the games I played so far. But yeah, so if you see me in game, I'm on NA Central or NA East servers. So yeah.